All right, we're at the home of Mary Florence and Bill Barnes, another stop on the blooming Bardstown Garden Tour. And you guys, I think, have the most longevity of the gardens this year. How long have you been here?
Since 78.
Yeah.
78, so quite a bit of time. 39 years, right? Yeah, that's quite a while. How many acres do you have altogether?
45.
45,
Yeah.
so it's a pretty good patch. And the whole thing's landscaped just like this?
Oh, yes. All 45 acres.
Yeah.
And one thing I can say for sure is that gardening is a work in progress.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Now, you can see some things have been here probably 38 years, 37 years.
Yeah.
But quite a few of them are new, and we change. You just
All
have
the
to
time.
change, yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Gardens are like people, they change often. We had a curly willow tree in the middle there that was beautiful, but it took over the whole garden, so we had to cut it down, and then we had to start all over there. So some of that is pretty new.
So what's your favorite?
The hydrangeas probably.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not out, only the Annabelles are out. But we've, 1 week from now, Master Gardeners, are you hearing this? 1 week from now, this garden would be popping.
Yeah, we always have the challenge of picking the right date at the right time, and of course,
Yeah.
1 week from now is Father's Day weekend,
Yeah.
and harder to get people to come to
It's
gardens on Father's
difficult.
Day.
It's difficult, and it's plenty pretty. I mean, everything is now. But 1 week, I kept thinking this week, is there anything I could put on these things to
Make
urge them to
it-
bloom?
Yeah,
But-
and we discussed it earlier at a different garden, but the cool spring has put several things a week or two behind. So in another year, I think we might have seen some of these.
Well,
things.
that's probably true too.
Yeah.
And I tell you another thing, we're on a hill here. It's windy and it's colder. So we're a little bit behind.
Well, certainly, yeah. The microclimates, we've discussed that on the show before too. If you get one spot, it could be in shade, a little shadier, a little cooler. Another spot, like a west-facing or south-facing spot, and it's going to be a lot warmer. So yeah.
I tell you what, a lot of people have commented on today. If you want to get a picture of the hostas,
Okay. Yeah.
people
we'll
have
definitely-
just been fascinated, and they're along the tree line over there.
Gotcha.
And they do well. You don't have to. You just put them out and they go. So.
Now, last night we were looking around your vegetable garden. And I noticed you didn't have to have like a really solid fence. So you haven't had a lot of animal problems with it, or?
We don't have a lot of deer.
Not too many.
We do have
Smaller.
rabbits,
Yeah.
rabbit issues.
Yeah, I think it's been a bad year for rabbits, or a good year for the rabbits, a bad year for our gardens.
The wrought iron around the garden originally was on our bridge down there,
Okay.
and the creek kept sort of shifting it down every time it flooded, and we had to go pick up the pieces and bring them back. So we finally gave up on that and put a different type of wrought iron.
Okay.
Then brought this up here.
We went to New Orleans to get a piece one time.
Oh, wonderful.
No, I'm
Oh.
kidding. It floated
Oh,
down.
okay.
But it would go. We
Doesn't
had to
float
go
that,
fishing
yeah.
for it. Had to go fishing for it.
Gotcha.
So
All right, well,
you all, I
we,
forgot you all were here last night.
Yeah, we really appreciate you opening up your doors. I know I live nearby, and I drive by your driveway on the way to work every day, and you look up those driveways sometimes. You go, I wonder what's up there. So giving us the chance to come up is
Yeah.
a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
We
Thank you.
enjoyed it. We
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it. Thank you. And we've met lots of nice people. A lot of people came out from Louisville too.
That's right.
Yes, we had a lot of Louisville people. Thank you.
Here we've got some of the largest varieties of hosta, and one of the nice advantages to, and a little toad, here there, fella. One of the advantages of these really large hostas is that they can actually, there's some of the hostas that can handle full sun. They've got theirs under a pine tree, but this is a hosta that can handle full sun. And if you really want a striking plant, then look for one of those largest varieties of hosta. We talked about earlier, we had a lot of plants earlier in the year that were hit by hail damage, and what happened is just as those leaves are starting to unfold, it blew holes into the leaves. And some plants are more affected than others, but what may look now like some bug damage was actually hail damage at the very beginning of the season. Most of the trees in that survived, but anything that sprouted early saw that damage come in and really won't recover until next year. Many people's peonies, they did not bloom properly because the hail itself kind of knocked the buds off of the top of the plants. But luckily, hail damage is not something that's very permanent, and by next year, everything should be back to normal.
Okay, we have another home on the Blooming Bardstown Garden Tour, and this is the home of.
This is Mike and Ruth Ann Seward. It's our final stop of the day. Mike and Ruth Ann, well, this is really Ruth Ann. She's the master gardener, and I'm sure Mike has to do some heavy lifting sometimes, but she is the master gardener, and she is one of our best. She's a huge fan of hydrangeas, and as we go through the yard today, all of the early blooming ones are out already. Fabulous hydrangeas. When we come to meetings, a lot of times we'll bring our own vase, from home to show off the flowers you're growing, and most people's vase is a vase, but Ruth Ann's is always huge because it's these huge hydrangea blossoms that are absolutely fantastic. So we got a few different things to look around, and we're going to talk to Ruth Ann as well.
Now, hydrangeas, I have a question for you, because I was telling to you earlier, I was reading this book, and in this book they were able to solve the case because they found that there was like acidity in the ground underneath the flowers. Now, these are the flowers that change color based on acid, is that right?
That's right. There are some hydrangeas that will change color based on the pH of the soil. So if the ground is basic, and most of Kentucky is naturally more basic because of the limestone, then they're going to be more pink. But you can add acid fertilizers to the soil, which will turn them to blue or purple. So the pH of the soil actually determines the color of the flower in some varieties.
Because she was saying like her grandmother used to add nails, iron nails to the soil, and that would change the color.
That's right. Well, the iron will rust, and the iron oxide then acidifies the soil, and that will change the color. Oak leaves and pine needles, especially pine, any evergreen needles, are very acidic. So if you plant hydrangeas underneath the pine trees, then you're going to get the acid color bloom. Well, Ruth Ann, here we are. We're at your house, and wow, it's an all-star. It's a gem, and I told everybody earlier that you're one of our very best. So tell us about a couple of things we're looking at today.
Well, when I first started, everybody says, how did I start out with all this? Did I have a design? And I said, nope. I was like Forrest Gump. I laid a few rock and I kept going, kept running. And so I just kept going and laying the rock, and my husband didn't want to mow around anything. So that's basically what I tried to do. And I just kept adding, and I started out with a lot of shrubs, things starting in the spring, summer, fall, and I have a lot of those different things. But my favorite thing, I guess, is the hydrangeas. I have a lot of hydrangeas, different types. I have the Quickfire, which is one of my favorites. It's an early starter. It blooms, one of the first hydrangeas to bloom. And then we also have the Annabelles, which you see I have a lot of those, and they bloom early. And I have some phantoms, some limelights, tardivas. I've got all kinds of hydrangeas.
But you've got a little bit of a whole bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah, I've got a lot of other perennials, and the Lorraine Sunshine, for instance, that flower is hard to find, but I keep breaking it apart and keep putting it down. So I've got that, a lot of that. I've just got a lot of crepe myrtles, different varieties. So I just kept going. I just love it. It's people say, well, how did you do all this? It's a lot of hard work, and I said, nope. Not for me. I love it. It's fun. So you got to have the passion to do it.
So your crepe myrtles, have you lost them to the ground a couple times, or do you take them back? Or? About
a couple of winters ago. Remember that time? This one actually right here, this crepe here went to the ground, and I just babied it, and it came back. So they all came back. So it worked out. You just got to give them a little love.
Yeah.
Little love. So that's what I've done.
All right. Well, you've seen it all today, all the tours we had to offer. I hope you enjoyed the Blooming Bardstown Garden Tour. We thank Channel 6 and hope to see you back next year.